Okay, let's talk about our form again. Today our focus is going to be thigh dancing. So thigh dancing is one of those exercises that you can really feel like you're really working your thighs. But it's also something where if your knees aren't in the best shape, that may not be an exercise for you. But sometimes knee pain comes just from not having the form correct. And we'll just go over a few of those form cues. So there are a couple of different variations of thigh dancing. You have your lined up with your hips, big toes together, keeping some space between your thighs, and you're just rising up off of your heels and coming back down. Then you have ones where you're up high and you're almost hinging back and then coming forward. That's a little more intense. And then you also, when you have fantastic knee health, your knees feel just, ooh, then you would glue everything together as if it were one piece and you'd be working from there. So let's go ahead and get started with just some basic setup. So your thigh dancing is done on the ground. And when we come into it, we want to think about the most basic stance is lined up with your hips, your hip bones. Nobody's hips come out way like this. You want to line up to your bones. If you're not sure how to find them, press your fists into your hips. Find where that protrudes. That's your hip bones. You want to line that up. Big toes together, knees apart. So from the side, you see big toes together, knees apart. I have about a fist amount of space between my thighs. Now, a lot of this is going to have to do with structure again. If you've watched my other intensive, we've talked about how maybe you dip in here because your hips are slightly different coming out of your hip socket than somebody who's just perfectly smooth. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. That's just how you were built. So I try to keep that fist distance. You may have to do something else, but whatever you do, keep some space and don't lose it as you get into the music and the dancing. So you're going to sit back onto your heels. Big toes are still together. You still have that space. Now, basic, you just come up. That's work right there. I can feel it. I have my spine neutral. I'm not tucked under. I'm not tucked back. I'm just right here. I can feel my thighs working immediately. Now, I see a lot of people, once they get to this point, they feel it, so they come forward. What you're doing right there is putting a lot of pressure onto your knees. So you don't want to do that. If you can't get that position where you're just hovering, if you just can't do it, come up higher. So now I don't have that ear, shoulder, hip, heel alignment, but I'm also not forward. You can see I've got that angle back still, so I'm not leaning forward into the knees. Feels better. So maybe you just sit back from this higher up position. When you start getting into your forward and backward thrusts in thigh dancing, regardless of if you are low or you are high, your arms are out, you hover, tuck your tailbone under when your arms are out, and maybe you take your tailbone back when your hands are back. So we go forward, we go back. Now the work is here on my upper or my middle thighs. It's not down by my knees. The only pressure from the knee is the pressure from where I am kneeling. So that is just the basic, just hover. So right here, it's work. This is basic. This is good. You want to keep yourself away from leaning forward onto your knees. So another variation that's intense is when you have this position, but instead of, see how I'm bent here? So instead of being bent, I have a slight tuck under and I'm just going back and forward. Again, I'm feeling it right here where my hands are, upper, middle thigh. I'm not at my knees at all. That tuck under helps keep that out of the knees. Finally, if your knees are just in tremendous shape, you're awesome. You don't have to worry about that space. You can glue everything together. And this is a variation that you're really only going to do if, like I said, the knees are fantastic, but the work comes from your hips. So everything's glued together like one piece. I've sat back onto my heels. I've risen up. So I'm not doing those tucks and everything else. I might be going side, 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 but the work stays in the hips. Now you can still do that side to side movement with your big toes together. You just come up and you go side, 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 side. But again, the movement's up here, it's not down here. So that is pretty much what you're looking for when you do thigh work. This feels better, but this is just way too much pressure on your knees. You want to be back here, back in the thigh work, focusing right here on this upper thigh, middle thigh area. So it's good, intense work. We're already pretty tight here to begin with. So another thing you could think about is if you're having problems with your thighs and you're working out from home, working out from a video, maybe you stretch your thighs really good first. If this is good for your knees, you can find a supportive surface, pick up your foot, tuck your hip slightly under, press the top of the foot into your hand. So if I just come up and I just grab this leg and I pull this heel into my seat, what am I doing? I am putting unnatural pressure here. So the stretch, I pick it up and I'm really pressing the top of the foot into my hand and tucking the hips under, putting it into the thigh, not the knee. So that is your form focus on thigh dancing. If you have any kind of problems or any kind of questions, feel free to reach out to me and we'll see if we can work it out. But remember, not all exercises are for everyone. And it's not because you're not good at it. It's not because there's something wrong with you and you haven't given enough effort. You've got to think about workouts as tailoring the workout for you, not taking the easy way out. You're tailoring it. You wouldn't wear pants that were 7 inches too short or too long. So don't make your exercise one size fits all. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Mary, and I will try to continue to give you these focus videos. So contact me if you have a focus video that you would like me to work on. Thanks. You have a great day. Bye.